Good morning and welcome to the January 10th, 2026 meeting of the Coalition of Little Rock Neighborhoods. I'm Kathy Wells. I'm the president. I am also a member of the Downtown Neighborhood Association around the Governor's Mansion. And we're going around the table and we're going to introduce everybody. This is Director Virgil Miller, our first speaker, but he can speak for himself.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Virgil Miller. I am on the Little Rock City Board of Directors. I represent Ward 1.
Jan Baker, I'm in Ward 5.
Marge Jernigan, Ward 5. Dorothy Brown, Ward 1. Robert Walker, Ward 3.
Mary Henthorne, Ward 4.
Welcome all. We're following up today with concerns that we've had for a great long time. In this instance, how much or how insufficient might be the City of Little Rock budget allotments for code enforcement, for eviction assistance, for the homeless, particularly in view of the increase in the utilities. Garbage fees were hotly contested a month ago. They were passed, so that's gone up $10 a month, on top of the water and the sewer, which increased recently. There's a real concern, and it was expressed, in fact, by the drivers of the garbage trucks who went before the board and said, we can't pay these bills, and we're part of the process for picking up the trash. And that takes you to the payment plan, which is available for those who cannot pay those bills. And if you enroll in the payment plan that's offered by the combined utilities, the water and the sewer and the garbage folk, they will not shut you off. But if you do fall off that plan, they can and may well shut you off. And we're supposed to start getting reports at every board meeting on the number that are enrolled in the payment plan currently and the number that have been shut off. And I understand from checking this week that report was not presented to the January 6th meeting of the City Board of Directors. And I've asked that that be pursued. And how's that coming along, Director Miller?
We can certainly get that information. As you know, utility building services is administered by Central Arkansas Water that shows on your utility bill water, sewer, and of course your sanitation payments. And then also there is a information on that bill that talks about promise pay. If you're having some difficulty in making your payments, then you can call that number and you can enroll in that. I think what President Wells is asking for is some information that we ought to be able to get from Central Arkansas Water about how many people are in the Promise Pay program, and that shouldn't be an issue. We should be able to get that information and get it out. So I think that's what you were asking for.
That is, and I see with you that it should be a simple matter of getting the number timely so that there is, in the course of business meeting, an update on where we are. And right now, it would be baseline as we just start math. Pardon me. Cold lingers on. One of the things that concerns me is that on the city screen about the payment plan, they picked up the phrase whole from the Central Arkansas utility company screen, which only refers to payment plans for water and sewer bills. They never specifically and explicitly offer that to the people who are having trouble with the third utility bill in that combination of three, which is the garbage fee. So we need to be putting that information out there. And they still haven't managed to make that little adjustment to their text. If you'd be good to push them on that, it would be very much appreciated, because when I asked for it, didn't get it. So let's see what else we can pursue.
Is the promise pay just you pay your bill in installments, but they don't lower the amount that you owe? Is it?
Pretty much that.
So all you're getting is.
Time to
longer
pay.
You
That's right.
don't get any benefit of, I really can't pay this much.
No, you do not. That is just the classic. We'll give you time to pay it an extended period. That's right.
Do they charge interest while you're paying on the installment plan?
Goodness, I don't know.
So at the end
You
you're
might
paying
find that
more?
one out for us too.
I don't believe that they're charging any interest, but I can confirm that.
I hope they're not, but, you know,
So you
there's always
ask?
another way to skin a cat. Yeah.
Yes, we're rather cynical about that, I'm afraid. But that, once again, will not, pardon me, be hard to find out. Welcome. Come in, sign in twice.
Sign in twice, okay.
One for keeping with the city, one that we keep, and we have some handouts over there. We have hot coffee. You're welcome to have some.
And I'm standing in for Salisha.
You're Chauncey Pettis.
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. Come up here and sit beside me.
Okay, sure.
We had one house in our neighborhood where the grandmother owned it, and so the grandson was living there, and there was no utilities being paid. He didn't have water on that house. So I don't want to imagine what they were doing to flush the toilet, or what the, you know, it was just a problem. But since the grandmother owned the house, the city's very kind to owners, and they don't force a lot of things. But he was living there with his friends. So
Do you think that she was a willing supporter of her grandson's living in this house, or was he imposing on her, which we know happens?
she might have been in the nursing home. I don't, you know.
Dear dears, maybe asking the police to perform a welfare check might be a good thing to do on that address.
Well, this was back when we had a real person, you know, a neighbor from the city that checked on things for us. And now there's only one for like half the city, so they're not much help at all. And the last time one visited our association meeting, she said, "This is my last meeting with you. I'm doing something else after this." So,
Well, that was a blow.
yeah, and they're giving up on our little resource center we had for them in our neighborhood. They're just not doing it anymore. So,
Pronouncing you have achieved victory and moving on, I suspect.
no, we've been
No.
abandoned.
That's too bad. I'm sorry, we have gotten off the track here. Director Miller, what else can you tell us about the issues of tracking payments, utilities? And we talked about the fact that companion utilities for a house, both the gas company and the electricity company, would have payment plans, and that should be part of the city's promotion of payment plans. So all in one place on one screen, there would be information to that struggling homeowner. And I think you said that was something you were working on. Do I have that right, Director Miller?
We can look at that. Of course, Entergy has their own payments, and they have on their bills information about, you know, assistance type programs. And of course, the Central Arkansas Development Council, they have weatherization type programs and utility assistance programs that they have money for, that they announce.
The LIHEAP program has just been announced, I remember.
Low-income housing assistance. And of course, when that program's announced, and they take applications for that, generally over at the fairgrounds, the line starts to that in the wee mornings for people to fill out applications, and they generally run out of money sometime before noon. So those programs are announced by the respective utility. So Entergy has their own program. Summit has their own programs that they will work with you. Of course, the utility building assistance, that's the one that the city has some influence on, because the water bill is
Collected by the
shown
city.
on that, and the reclamation authority, which is sewer, is collected on that, and sanitation, garbage pickup is collected on that notice. So those are the ones that we control, and that's where we get the information out on that. I know you guys wanted to hear a little bit about an update on the budget for 2026.
Welcome.
Of course, we adopted the budget. I'm talking about the city of Little Rock in December, as per law. We have our budget adopted before the first of the year. Sort of the highlights on that budget, it's right about $272 million in the general fund. That's what we're looking at. It includes 5% raises for police and fire. I think we talked a little bit about that. Also, there is an across-the-board 1.75% raise for the rest of the employees. As President Wells talked about, we've had presentations from the union that represents the public works, sanitation workers, and they are saying they would like to get an increase more than the 1.75. I think we're certainly going to be looking at that whenever it comes time for maybe budget adjustments. But as it stands right now, police and fire have 5% increases, and everyone else has 1.75. Of interest, we have included funds for technology upgrades to the Real-Time Crime Center and our technology investment for the Little Rock Police Department. A lot of people are interested in that, and I would certainly encourage anyone who wants to take a look at the Real-Time Crime Center just to call down to the Little Rock Police Department and say you'd like to get a tour of the Real-Time Crime Center. We want to be very transparent about that, and I think people have gone and taken a look at that because people have concerns about, quote, what Big Brother's doing and what they're looking at. So please take advantage of that. If
I have done that, and it is as stated and advertised. It's a room full of a quantity of computers and communications equipments, and the ability to be told there is an incident occurring, a flight occurring, a disturbance at a particular address, and get eyes on it and then communicate with the folks at that place about it. They are not spending a lot of money to record things, especially on private property, and hold it against you. As we've discovered, and I'm sure Director Miller can affirm, recordings that you keep from these cameras cost a lot of money, and nobody's going to do that if they can avoid it. But that is certainly something you can see for yourself.
and yeah, I would encourage you to take a look at it. Please take advantage of that. And of course, when we talk about what we're paying for LRPD and how funds are going into technology, we also want to let the public know that we have allocated, over $1 million towards youth violence prevention programs. There'll be more in that bucket also. So again, when we talk about public safety, we're just not talking about police and fire. We're talking also about youth prevention, youth violence prevention programs, which is extremely important.
Is this our PIT of many
Yes.
years? Okay. I saw that
Prevention.
they ran a bunch of contracts through in the last few weeks.
Yes, we did prevention, intervention, and treatment programs, trying to get those funds out in a timely way to various organizations that work with youth. And
What's
try-
the evaluation contract like? I know that there's always been that issue.
There's always been that issue, as you know, probably when the program first started, the city was allocating funds to different agencies that applied, and then there was concern from the public of how do you evaluate these programs. And so the program was tweaked over the past years so that now there's a more formal application that you have to have, and also it is a contract that requires you to perform the service, then present your invoices for repayment. I think initially when the program started, the city would forward the money to the organization, and there was concerns about that. So now it is, the program again has been tweaked over the past few years, so that now you perform the work, then you present invoices to the city for reimbursement. That was received mixed by some organizations. So some have decided that they don't want to participate in a program like that. Others have made the adoption, and so we're steady hearing concerns from organizations about that. But again, you got to find a balance when we're dealing with public funds about how do you account for those funds. People could argue that, man, if one youth was served from not going to the penitentiary or losing their life, then we ought to say it was worth it. But then again, some people want to know, well, what's the total number of youth that's served? So we kind of look at that also. But if you want to take a big picture look at how these programs work, it's based much more on just how many youth are served, how many youth that you save, and how many potentially that you keep from the streets. If
Correct.
it's one, can you say this program was successful? And so we're steady tweaking on that because people want accountability. We understand that, and we want to also have the accountability, but we also want to serve as many youth in a meaningful way as we can. If you ever look at city board meetings and you see during citizen communications, sometimes public members will come up and take us to task about, well, we need more people, boots on the ground with youth intervention specialists, and people are saying, well, I can do that program. I work with youth all the time, but I don't get any money from the city. But I'm working with 20 youth, and I'm keeping these kids off the street, and the city ought to fund me. Well, there's a balance to that, because again, if we say we're going to give this person some money because they say they're doing this work and they may well be doing that work, then where's the accountability, like what you're talking about? So we have to have that balance, and we're steady tweaking the program. And the way the program is now, next year it may be tweaked a little bit more. But there is always a balance with that. And so it is an attempt to meet people where they are in the streets, but also have some accountability. You just can't tell us that you're working with 20 youth and you're doing
And
this.
trust me,
And
we know,
and
we
give
know.
you the funds.
Or that
It's
it's
your
good
money.
work.
We've got to have some balance with that. So that is something that,
Well, let me ask an additional question on the evaluation. I'm thinking now about, I know you're tallying the numbers. Let's
Yes.
say you've got 10 contracts at 100,000 each, which takes you to your million plus.
yes,
And so combining all of those year-long efforts, they've reached, let's say, 3,000 youth. Be generous to that. What is being done to track those 3,000 people into, well, let's take the standard for prison recidivism, which isn't a bad number, 3 years out. If Susie and Sammy are in the 26 program for PIT, are you following them out 1 and 2 and 3 years to see if there was an arrest or even a death? Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep these kids alive. We're trying to keep them out of the arrest warrants. And my impression is we still haven't done that kind of tracking.
that type of tracking is certainly something that, obviously would be of interest if you could follow someone from the time they get in the program till, the time they graduate from high school. Of course, the organizations that work with these youth will tell you we don't have the money to track people like that Again,
No, it would have to be a separate evaluation contract, if only for probity, because you don't want to tempt them to claim falsely that, you know, we're good. You just don't let them have the temptation in the first place. So you need another contract for an evaluation firm, and I'm sure that exists, but we just haven't cracked the goal of finding the money to do that, and then to commit to, in that case, let's call it a 5-year contract.
Yes,
And get them out of high school, pretty much.
it is, again, that's where the balance is about how much do we spend on administration and then how much do we spend on actual program services. I'm sure we got organizations that would love to come in and evaluate all the programs. And I'm sure all of you probably in this room will remember when we had desegregation programs at the Little Rock School District level. They had a separate office of desegregation monitoring that spent millions of dollars monitoring. So that was millions of dollars that wasn't going in the program. And so that there's a balance there, but I definitely hear what you're saying, and maybe we have to take a look at, you know, how we tweak and how we monitor. But again, that's something that obviously we have to take a look at.
Well, Director, if I may.
And introduce yourself, please.
Well, hi, I'm Chauncey Pettis. I am the Community Development Administrator here at the City of Little Rock. So I'm here to kind of talk about some of our homeless prevention programs and things like that.
And eviction assistance.
And eviction assistance. Although I adjust those words just slightly when we get to it. Director, one soft way to kind of glean some of that positive takeaway from our prevention and intervention programming is that really a lot of that programming is really a gateway and an open door to other City of Little Rock programming. Many of those students do become summer youth employees. And so if they're in that age gap, so maybe a soft way to start getting some of that data is seeing how many come out of that program and go into other City of Little Rock programming. And that way, we can't easily track that without really any additional funds, because now they're in our city system as interns, or they're in our city system as summer youth employment. And it gives us a way to say that we really have opened their eyes to different sets of life, and we're still kind of keeping a soft arm on these babies as they transition into adulthood.
I agree. We definitely want to be good stewards of your money.
Yeah.
And track as many ways as we can. And of course, that involves a lot of public-private partnerships, as we also try to, in our youth summer programs, try to get employers to hire youth, and we pay the salary. So when that time comes, we love to have more advocates trying to get the private sector involved in that.
Kathy and everyone, we have a couple of comments on the live stream.
Thank you, read them.
Come Home to Me, Charlene is the participant who sent these comments, and we were talking about reimbursement, I think, when they entered like a fee for services rendered. And then the comment that just came through is some of the program barrier come with the legality problems of it, as well as duplication of services.
Yes, we certainly have to be conscious of everyone's concerns about that. But when we have these programs, there are advocates certainly on both sides of that. How these programs work, how they're being effective. And then some people will say, well, I don't know exactly what you're looking for, but I know I kept this kid off the street. I know I did this, and I work with these youth myself, and no one's paying me. The city ought to give me some money because I'm working with the youth. So again, that's the balance that we're looking for when we give out taxpayer dollars. We have to be conscious of that. And again, I think what we've been able to do with the contract form is that when you sign the contract with it, you do the work, then you present the invoices to us, which in the past, the money was forwarded up front, and then people were asked to do the evaluation. So we got a lot of criticism about that, and so now we've tweaked it. And again, there may be more tweaks in the future, but again, this is what the public wanted. And then we had some agencies, some organizations that says, there's too much paperwork, I don't want to fill out the paperwork, you know, you guys are harassing us, you're not making it easy for us, I'm not even going to apply.
Very true. We're
Correct.
not making it easy.
So again, that's the balance of what the public wanted.
Yeah.
Again, if we forwarded the money straight up, then people were saying you're not being good stewards of the money. If we're saying you pay for you do the service and we reimburse you, well, you know, we're a struggling little agency. We need your money up front in order to do the work. And so that model has not worked. We're not using that model now. We're asking them to do the work first. And if you got an organization that has any type of structure to it, you ought to be able to do the work first. But a lot of organizations that are grassroots on the streets, then we're just not that formal. I'm a one-person, you know, organization, and I do the work myself. You guys ought to help me. You ought to give me the money to do the work that I'm doing. We just can't be good stewards of the funds that way. So
On the issue of duplication, that's a good question. What's your information and understanding about preventing duplication of services? We know that is very well handled in the adult activity amongst the continuum of care for these homeless programs that get federal dollars, because the feds really do insist that nobody's going to be duplicating services. And just like this case, there's always a lot more demand than supply, so you really don't want to duplicate services. But how would you assure no duplication, that company or program 1 and program 2 are both collecting because they are have claimed or actually enrolled Susie and Sammy?
well, each organization submits an application, and that application is reviewed by our Office of Community Programs. So every organization that is recommended for funding and that receives funding, they have presented an application. That application is evaluated by a committee that includes children and families organization, along with staff at our community programs, so that, you know, if someone's, at the end of the day, we're trying to help youth. Some may do it through an art program. Some may do it through some other type of intern program. But there's no duplication when we look at each application separately. So each application for funds is evaluated.
Either doing this category, as you say, art or apprenticeship for something or another thing,
Each program.
or they're in different geographies. So you can't enroll Susie and Sammy
No.
in East Little Rock and West Little Rock.
It wouldn't be the same. And they would.
Or
give us
we're
the-
assuming that at any rate.
Right. So those programs, that was in the budget. Of course, I think also people want to know, well, you know, what else is in the budget? Other highlights that I can tell you is that there was the number of employees for the city was decreased by 15 from last year. So now there's 2,265 employees with the city, a reduction. And so that, again, is a sign of trying to be good stewards with your money. Also, big that people want to know, what are we doing for people that are unsheltered? The agenda this Tuesday is for review by the city board. Resolution number 6 on there, and of course I always encourage everyone to take a look at the agenda. If you have any questions about it, please get with your city director or come to the following Tuesday meeting and express concerns about that. But the city manager, there's a resolution that's going to be in place to extend a 1-year contract to DePaul USA to operate the Jericho Way Homeless Day Resource Center. This is the first of a 1-year extension of 4 extensions, and the total cost of that agreement, includes a 3% cost of living adjustment. It's right at $400,000, a little over $400,000. So I thought you'd be interested in that.
We are, but we're also fretting about if the predictions unfortunately come true that a significant number of folks can't pay these utility bills and leave their abode and come into the homeless population that needs to be addressed. Is there any additional money possible somewhere if you have a surge of clients?
We can certainly take a look at that. I mean, obviously, looking at what the consequences of these increases in utility bills is going to be something that we're going to monitor very closely to see, again, how many people, as you said, may enroll in Promise Pay, how many people may get behind. We have to take a look at that.
We're grateful you're watching it close because we sure don't want to slip on that.
No, we don't. And so that's something that we'll definitely take a look at. Also coming up on the agenda to be discussed is a resolution to amend a memorandum of understanding with the University District Development Corporation to operate a mobile grocery store for 1 year.
Oh, that's finally coming too.
So the agreement, the contract would be extended for 2 additional 1-year periods, and the amount is not to exceed $850,000 to operate the mobile grocery store for 1 year. As you know, we have a number of food deserts in our communities, and we're looking forward to getting this. It's been years and years in the making. If you drive by the university campus, along Colonel Glenn, by the University District headquarters, over by where the old KUAR radio station was, you'll see this big trailer out there that's painted. Maybe some of you have seen it. That's going to be the mobile grocery store that is getting ready to be operated. So,
refresh my memory, was that annual contract for $800,000 or $850,000?
$850,000. $850,000. So we'll see how that goes. And along those same.
Do they have the route yet?
That will be determined as we go forward. Where will we go? We'll go to, say, housing authority properties, or if we'll go to, just some, say, school parking lot. It's to be determined.
Really look forward to you posting that on your website when you get it.
Yeah, we'll be taking a look at that. So we're pretty excited about that. But also on the agenda is in the planning and development, is a request to change a zoning on 3122 Marshall Street for the change from a residential 3R3 to planned development C to allow for a neighborhood grocery store. I can tell you, it was passed by the Planning Commission, 7 votes for, no against, 3 absent, 1 open position, and the staff recommends approval. I went to a special call meeting of the South End Neighborhood Group this past Wednesday. It was standing room only, with petition signed that they don't want it.
Was this 3102 Marshall?
3122.
3122.
Marshall Street, which was a house there, and mysteriously, quote unquote, by the neighbors, mysteriously caught on fire and burned down, and now it's just a vacant lot that they will that they're wanting to build. Wyatt PDC is wanting to do that, and the neighborhoods.
What's their concern?
They feel like it's going to bring too much traffic into the neighborhood. They want their neighborhood to remain residential. There is another little grocery store right around the corner. They say if you want fresh produce, you can go to Kate Hall and Son. We don't want another type of sort of family dollar, general dollar store in our neighborhoods. And I have never been to a South End neighborhood community meeting. I've been going since 2021 that had standing room only. And so I have called the director of planning to give him a heads up that I'm going to be talking about this issue Tuesday when it comes before the board on the agenda meeting. And I'm going to strongly encourage the developer to go back and meet with the neighborhood again, because as it stands right now, I'm not going to be supportive of this just based on the petitions that's been signed and the number of people that were in the meeting. So that is something that sort of caught everybody off guard, because it's generally kind of concluded that the South End is a food desert. And we got someone who's wanting to build a grocery store who's saying, I'm not going to do cigarettes, I'm not going to do lottery tickets, I'm going to do fresh produce and this and that. But again, there's been a very, very poor job of communicating with the neighborhoods. And so I'm a neighborhood first person. I'm going to listen to the residents. And again, I have never been to a meeting that had that many people there at the South End Neighborhood Group. Again, it was standing room only.
And it's been years.
And and I've been going since 2021. And they had petitions. And my initial reaction was, oh man, it's a grocery store. And they said, we don't want it. We don't want the added traffic. We don't want the lottery. We don't want this. And quite frankly, I just think the developer, I would recommend strongly that they maybe pull this, go back and talk to the residents, try to get this thing worked out.
What's on that corner? I'm sure.
Nothing. I mean,
No, I'm sorry. Of the four,
it's residential. It's
it's all houses right around there.
It's residential.
And just the regular size streets.
Yes, it's just.
This is not on like MLK, which is 4-lane and
this is Marshall.
whatever they call the feeder stuff.
No, this is 3100 Marshall Street.
Is this the standard 50 by 300 foot lot?
It looks a little bit bigger than that, but I'll have to see it. Again, I'm going to be asking a bunch of questions Tuesday. I've already told.
Is this a corner lot or in the middle lot?
It's a corner lot.
It's a corner lot, okay.
But I've already told Brad, I gave him a heads up about it. He understands that. I've already got the write-up here. I've got all the information. I told him I don't want you to be caught off guard, but I'm going to have some questions about this because of the strong opposition of the neighborhood.
Your question is to see what really soured the perception of whatever was presented.
It just didn't go well.
Yeah.
It just.
Well, now the planning department has this list of neighborhoods that they use to notify them. They're taking into account development and rezoning and PDCs.
It was.
And so, did the South End get notified properly?
Oh yes.
And did they respond to that time on the planning agenda?
They were there. People were there. Of course, there's a big write-up about it, and again, the vote was taken.
But you're looking there at the Minister of Planning.
Oh yeah.
What did they record about South End neighborhood comments? Would be my puzzlement.
They said that again, the applicant was present. There were 5 persons registered in opposition, 5 people registered in support. They say the 5 people registered in support didn't live in the neighborhood. And they had a relationship with the developer. One was a contractor, one was an architect. So the item was taken off the consent agenda. It was open for discussion. The commissioners gave the applicant the option to defer the item due to incomplete commission attendance. The applicant chose to remain on the agenda. Shirley Christopher, these are in the minutes, was fearful of another fire in the area. Clara Taylor voiced concerns about the other convenience stores nearby. Ms. Wesley chose not to speak. Sandra Thomas voiced concerns about not needing a grocery store in the neighborhood, not receiving notice, but her son did, and stated that the building was under investigation after the fire. Ms. Jeffries voiced concerns of the grocery store not being conducive in the neighborhood. There are plenty of convenience stores in the area, and the grocery store will bring unwanted traffic and crime to the area. Christopher Davis stated the neighborhood was in a food desert and was in need of a grocery store with fresh, whole food for public health and community reasons. With fresh food for public health and community reasons. Kitty Payton stated that the neighborhood needs the store due to there being not being grocery stores nearby that offer fresh, healthy food. Andrew Slack stated he wants to build the community by fixing broken buildings, and the grocery store will bring employment to the community. Jason Duncan stated he worked with the applicant on more than a dozen projects. Of course, this person doesn't live in the neighborhood, including this grocery store. He stated the grocery store will bring affordable food to the neighborhood and create a walkable, thriving community. Ms. Vargas stated the opposition's concerns were based on fear and restatement that the grocery store would offer meats and fresh produce from other sources. Other persons registered in support didn't speak. The grocery store would reiterated that the grocery store would not offer alcohol, tobacco products, or lottery tickets. After some discussion, there was a motion for the application. There was a second. 7 yeas, nay, 0 nays, 3 absent, 1 open. The motion passed. The application was approved. The staff is recommending approval. And again,
Can you see what they say about parking or off-street parking in that staff report?
Nothing about that.
Okay, so we're in a residential block with a little old residential street, and there's no off-street parking.
There would, it's on a corner lot, and so I drove over there Friday. I want to see for myself.
Is that site plan showing any parking?
Not off-street parking, but, no. It's in a residential neighborhood, single-family homes and duplexes. Again, that's why they're asking for a zoning change.
Do you remember this house that got permitted to be a grocery store? If you call to mind going down Chester, and you're at 15th and Chester, just before the big community center at Dunbar, 16th. And there is a vacant lot on the corner, on the southwest corner. And then you go one block, or one drive cut in the middle of the block. There was what had been a house for a long time. And it got permitted to be a little neighborhood grocery store. And it did not last very long, and there was no off-street parking for that one. If you were going to shop this grocery store, you were going to come off the street, park at the curb, and go in. Now, you had some ability because what was surrounding it was not private homes. But still, you might want to kind of look into that one. I'm sorry, I can't remember. It would be 15th something off of Chester that had that experience. That might be a contributing useful piece of information here, because they did exactly that there, and it didn't hold up. And it's now, if I remember correctly, having driven past it recently, a vacant property. Nobody's doing anything with it.
Okay.
So that's potentially useful example.
And I hate to be suspicious, but they can say no lottery, no alcohol, all these other nice things, and no tobacco. But how easy it is to switch after they're there.
Well, what we have here is a developer whose address is out of Los Angeles.
Oh, my God.
Oh, okay.
And they have some local representation.
Well, he couldn't get the booze, but he could get the lottery tickets instantly.
But the property was a 1,900 square foot wooden frame building that historically operated as a grocery store serving the neighborhood at large. The store has been out of operation for a long period of time. The applicant has cleared the site of unnecessary trees, rubbish, debris. Of course, there was a mysterious fire, quote unquote, that the neighborhood talked about. and the building's gone now, so the whole
It's a
lot is
vacant lot.
vacant and cleared.
Did you say that the house before it mysteriously burned down was operating as a grocery store?
Probably illegally, yes.
At one
Why
point,
can't you drive that mobile grocery store thing over there and park it on that lot?
Probably.
And they get the grocery store
Or
and they don't
just-
have.
add it to the route at least.
Or,
Yeah.
You know, so again,
Los Angeles, what kind of history does that developer have? He's run it for 20 years and he's got a zillion successful operations on his record,
He said
or
about 12.
he showed up 12 months ago from nowhere?
well, there'll be some questions asked. But
Sorry
again,
to be cynical, but
But again, like I
It sounds
said,
like we
sometimes we're a
suspicion.
third world nation for
I
victimization.
have just never had that many people
An
at
outpour.
a South End neighborhood community meeting that were there to express their opposition to this. And again, this will be discussed with staff and me this Tuesday at 4:00 at the agenda meeting.
You said the staff recommended it. Why did
Yes.
they recommend it? What were their reasons for that?
We'll have to ask them, but again, overall, this is in a food desert.
Need,
They
yeah.
felt like it would be appropriate. I'm not gonna speak for them, they have a chance to say that,
Yeah.
based on.
Well, their staff report is gonna be what you look to.
But-
They yap on about food desert and they don't say a thing about Los Angeles developer. History we checked into was ABC, XYZ.
Well, they may not have said anything.
They didn't do the
Neighborhood
job.
doesn't want it either. You know,
They didn't do their job.
Staff recommends approval of the request,
that doesn't tell you anything.
PDC zoning, subject to compliance with staff analysis. So.
I have another online comment here. I can't see the whole thing and continue with the live streaming, but the support of at times is common from those who don't live in or currently have ID or identification with address of the neighborhood. Property owners of the community in support of or against should be considered. And there's more to this comment, but that's all I can read.
Well, we
without
certainly
changing
believe
my
that at this
screen.
table. That's one of the reasons the coalition has functioned all these years, is to give voice to those folks who are concerned. And that is a mutual concern across all of our neighborhoods.
So, again, those are some of the big things that are happening. Of course, there are a number of other things on the agenda. A request for a short-term rental in Ward 1, and then there are some things in Ward 7, Ward 3, Ward 6 on the agenda. So I would encourage you, go to the city's website, take a look at the
Go to
proposed
Board of
agenda.
Directors and go to Agenda of Meetings.
Yes.
That's where this is to be found.
And you know, at the agenda meeting, the public doesn't speak. It's just the staff is presenting the agenda to the board, saying this is what we want to present for the board meeting the following Tuesday. So any questions that
But
board
that
members
is
have?
on the line,
Yes.
on YouTube, so you could sit at home or take a break from work and see this.
Yes, it's at 4:00. And so
The record
generally,
is there to pursue, video.
there are 9 items on the consent agenda. This could be pretty quick, but again, they know I wanted to give planning a heads up that I'm gonna be asking a bunch of questions, with regard to this. Again, they wanted, when I see this much opposition, you guys, this many
We're glad you
people,
paid heed, thank you.
who come to the meeting, I just think it's just incumbent that the applicant go back and try to work with the community and just not try to ram something down the community's throat that they don't want.
Yeah.
They don't want it. And so, I don't get it.
If the developer cannot persuade them to the value and virtue of the proposal, then why would they pursue it when they would suppose all of their likely customers are hostile? Hello? They think they'll just disappear? They
Yeah,
bull their way through and they can last it until everybody gives up and shops them?
Yeah, and so that's.
Something to that.
What is this business model?
Yeah, so that's gonna be my concerns, and I would and it appeared, based on this write-up, that they asked the developer if they wanted to pull it, I guess because the number of commissioners that weren't there, and they said no, they wanted to go forward with it, and they did.
And they got their approval.
Exactly.
But in the meanwhile, I mean, there are 4 pages of petition, 4 pages,
Of signatures.
on all of them. I don't feel the other, but again, standing room only. I've never seen that much opposition. Ms. Jeffries, Coach Ed Johnson, very prominent individuals, Dr. Minnie Hatchett, prominent individuals in the community, Ms. Brown.
Was you part of this, Ms. Brown?
Part of the meeting.
Okay.
But,
Welcome any comments you may wish to make. Okay.
So again, when I see this much opposition, please, developer, why don't you pull this, go back and visit with the community, try to get some buy-in to this, and if they just don't want it, why try to press it down their throats? And so it's going to be voted on by the full board. It takes 6 votes to approve it. I'm going to, as it stands right now, be in opposition to it, just based on the outrage from the community, and I'm going to encourage my fellow board members to follow my lead on this.
I know that you have to go, and we're very grateful that you gave us this hour, Virgil Miller. If I may suggest one other thing to pursue, when they talked about the fire being suspicious, you might ask the fire department.
We got the fire report.
You've got the fire report. That was my question.
Yes.
What did it say? Let me just ask that.
I mean, it's hard to read some of those things.
Yeah, you gotta have a translator.
Yeah, it's hard to read that, but nothing that said,
We think it's arson and we're referring
Right.
it for prosecution.
Yeah, they didn't say that.
Okay.
But, the neighborhood said, look, this building's been there for 30 years. And then all of a sudden, this application comes up and they were gonna initially make some modifications to the building, and they were saying, well, this building can't be
Oh,
modified
after he
this
bought
way.
it and owned it, then it sadly burned to the ground.
Yes.
Was there an insurance claim by any chance?
I don't know anything.
The fire
about
department should have said that.
I didn't say in the report I read, but I got the full 20-page fire department. But again, that's what the neighbors have said. It almost said it mysteriously, quote unquote, burned down because the initial plans was to renovate the building, and then there was concerns with you can't hold this, the building can't be adapted for that, and then all of a sudden the building disappeared in a fire.
It seems
Well,
like the
you
planning.
can't tell if transits move in and it's cold and they start a fire.
So for whatever reason, the building
That
is gone.
apparently didn't get the conclusion of the official
For the
investigators.
last
Somebody
30
might have
plus
forgotten
years.
and left the door unlocked and those transients could have gotten in.
Well, for the last 30 years, that building has been there. And,
But a new owner, he probably forgot to unlock the door and the
okay.
homeless
It seems
can
like
get in
you
there.
would look at the planning commission. How did it get out with a positive vote from the planning commission? Because is the planning commission pro-neighborhood, or is it?
Oh, they're pro-development from the
Well,
get-go.
yes, I know.
Their
Very
instruction is to
pro-development.
develop and redevelop the city. That's the
Maybe
thrust.
Maybe that's philosophy that needs to be questioned too.
Yeah, but
You
again,
approve who goes on the planning commission. These people that volunteer.
yes, he's a volunteer.
They got a
And
vacancy if you want it.
at the end of the day,
Wow.
it has to be approved by the city board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the planning commission can approve it, the staff can approve it, but at the end of the day, the 10 members of the board have to say yes or no.
Thank you so much. We know you have another appointment.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
And now, for the second hour, we're getting a housing and neighborhoods official who's going to be talking to us about eviction services and affordable housing services. And in the transition between one and the next, I wanted to call everyone's attention to this handout, which is the schedule for our February the 14th candidate forum. We certainly hope that you will all volunteer to work the sign-in table or the question panel. We invite those email questions for the ones that we will take to the candidates So please do participate next month in the auditorium down at the end of the hall. Yes, Robert?
I want to speak loudly about this wonderful program. Energy and Summit are basically paying. These two nice guys were persistent enough to appoint with me and come to my house, and they weather stripped a few doors, and the guy got in the attic, and that
Their energy audit,
central
yes.
heat, that central heat and air that I had installed for thousands of dollars, and then this nice program put in R38 insulation in my attic. Now either the insulation, the air conditioning people or the insulation people kicked the ductwork apparently, and it was not actually connected. So whenever I was heating my house, it was heating the attic. But these wonderful people came by for no cost to me, and now my ductwork is hooked up.
And you're getting the benefit of it.
They
Great.
fixed something else about the inlet, so I'm not sucking air from the attic to be heated up for the house. And it's a great program, and they were nice, and maybe they should have done better or worse or whatever. But by golly, I don't trust
Call for the free energy audit is always a good idea. And at one point in my career, I was paid to promote that and publicize that. Mm-hmm. And I learned enough about it to appreciate your comments, because so many people don't know that they have lost connections. Some, in fact, one of my neighbors once discovered a possum in the bathroom at 3 a.m. because the ductwork under the house had gotten a disconnect, and the possum had come in where it was warm one winter night. So that was certainly a wake-up call, but a lot of them are not known until you have Bruce get up there and look at this stuff with a flashlight in the back and beyond. It's free. It is absolutely going to do something for your energy bills. And there's a lot of other stuff that you can do on your own that can be little or no cost. We won't go into it here, but get the energy audit they offer through Energy and Summit Utilities.
Okay.
Can't
I can
do
loan
better.
out a possum trap if anybody needs one.
I think the loud scream took care of that one that night. You know, little beady eyes at 3 in the morning. Create a real response.
Resilient process.
Tracks you've ever seen.
Well, this is true. This is true. Anyway, Ms. Pitts, welcome, and thank you so much for coming out to tell us about this.
Sure.
We've been concerned at the publicity that comes out of City Hall, focusing on homeownership for affordable housing. They'll do these subdivisions or these 6 houses out on this particular address. And what we have heard about so much at this table is the renters who are put on the street and have trouble. And as I understand it, there may be one contract with our house for folks through a city contract to be assisted. But my guess is there's a lot more demand than supply. And you're going to tell us about a different program, so please tell us about eviction aid.
Sure. So, again, I am Chauncey Pettis. I am with the Department of Housing and Neighborhood Programs, and I'm the Community Development Administrator. And so, Housing has a portfolio of different housing, federal and non-federal based grant programs. I particularly work with the Home TBRA program, which is the one that's probably the most relevant to the concerns that you stated. So, the City of Little Rock Housing Neighborhood Programs does have a home tenant-based rental assistance program. That's the Home TBRA program. And we have some conditional approval letter from the Arkansas Department of Finance and Department of Finance Authority to continue with emergency solution grant dollars. Now, it's a approval letter contingent on the completion of further application pieces, but it's a promising thing. I think it's something we've had
From what
before.
authority was that?
DFNA, right?
So this is
the Arkansas
state.
Department of Finance Authority. Well, it's different. So Home TBRA is funded by HUD.
That's what I was thinking. You've got
Yes.
both federal and state movement.
Correct. There's a number of organizations that also received the emergency solutions grant as well. So I think our house,
Yes, that's the one I remember seeing an approval come
River
through.
City Ministry, Better Community Development, St. Francis. So a handful of other organizations received this emergency solutions grant as well. So Home Tibra, and I can pause there if you have any thoughts, or does anybody have any?
Would you be good enough to repeat the organizations that are in this program? Our House, St. Francis House,
Let's see.
you said Better
We have-
Community, BCD.
We have us, City of Little Rock, River City Ministry, Better Community Development, and St. Francis. We
River
have
City
some-
Ministry, got it, thank
We
you.
have some that are in different parts of the state that may not be quite as germane to this piece of communication. But our HUD-based grant,
Yes.
which is of course our federal one, is the Home Tibra program, and that is tenant-based rental assistance.
How does that work, and how many are you able to help?
So we've had the Home Tibra program for several years that we've been awarded from HUD, and we the way it works is that it is rental assistance, and so I think a bit earlier I said I'm gonna adjust the wording of eviction assistance. So unfortunately, Home Tibra operates for those that have already been evicted, because it is the goal and the mission of Home Tibra is to combat homelessness for those that are already in that position. And so we have a contingent of 3 months of rental assistance that we can help that individual get off the street and into safe living. That we come into an agreement with the apartment complex, landlord, anything like that, as well as the individual that we're giving aid to, the resident we're giving aid to. The agreement is with the City of Little Rock, so we kind of help that individual not have the fear of
You're paying the bills.
we're paying the bill. So what we're paying is their rental fee, their rent, and we pay for up to deposit in 3 months typically. We have a very wide range of individuals that maybe, we have one gentleman that's in his 70s that had lived in the same apartment complex for I think 30 years and was just suddenly kicked out for hikes, for rental hikes. And then we have an individual that's a mother of 3, so.
And in the courts, we know from our colleague, our Kentucky Community Organizations, that tracks these evictions in the court proceedings, in 2025, more than 4,000 were evicted legally.
Yeah.
How many can you help with your program?
So, I mean, it's always a fluctuating number, and as I said, we have 3 months per eligible resident, and so that number is revolving when someone's has timed out of the
When
program.
Kathy
and put
leaves,
someone else
then
in.
Susie comes into
Correct.
that apartment or
Correct.
hotel room or whatever it is.
Correct. So it is typically apartment or landlord-based living. So it's not, we don't do hotel vouchers with this program or anything like that. It's
You're in apartment complexes then?
It's housing, yeah.
Excuse me, do these people have some kind of source of income in the
So-
first place?
Correct. We do have certain requirements for the program. The obvious one is they're residents of Little Rock. That one gets a little bit difficult for people that might be transient for reasons of being homeless. But we do try to make sure that they're Little Rock residents. So we get their former agreement or lease for where they are no longer staying. They do have to document that they have some form of income, because we're attempting to help them save, learn that budgeting, and be able to put them on a good foot to continue
Still staying themselves.
to stay in those complexes. Correct. So what we're really trying to do is offer a leg up to as many as we can and hope that they can sustain themselves from that point on. We have several apartment units and realty properties that we've worked with over the years. Very familiar with the program, but there is just not enough beds. We're having a really difficult time right now for individuals looking for affordable housing. We have our new numbers. Everyone we work with also have to be in the fair market use amount for rental properties, so they can't just have a gouging amount that
Keep
they're
on talking
charging.
about that.
Rent is high, period. Let me say that.
Yeah, okay.
But there is a system in place that we just recently received the fiscal year 2026 fair market rent documentation system, and so it's telling us the fair market prices that a tenant or an apartment complex can charge for it, and it goes everywhere from.
Oh, this is one of those federal assertions, like try that again, Tony, that we've encountered for a long time in the poverty rates, which is a calculation from the federal authorities that is used for determining if you are officially in poverty and entitled to program 1, 2, 3, sort of a thing.
Okay, so
this is a fair market rate statement from the federal government that you follow.
Yes, for HUD, but what you're discussing is actually our median income. So the income amounts.
And you track that too.
Correct. So
Make your calculation.
So they have to be at or below 30% of the median income for the state.
At or below
30% of the median income.
30%.
What would that calculate
So
be?
it adjusts based on that particular family and how many individuals are in the home. But the hard number of the median income is $92,700 annually. So it's quite a few people that are at or below 30% of that $92,000 amount. Now,
92,000 a year.
yes,
30% of 92.7?
at or below. Yes,
Oh, 30% of that.
yes.
Okay.
Is where they strike
Well, that's
into the
like
program.
97,000.
So that's about
You
30.
can't be too rich and be in the program to be crude about it.
Correct, correct.
It's about
Correct.
30,000 a year.
So-
something like that.
And if you have, so those are numbers that we follow that come from HUD. Now, what we were talking about a little bit before that is from the standpoint of the properties or the realty companies that we work with. Any apartment complex that we have that agreement with, if there is a cap on what they are allowed to charge for those spaces. So for 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, an efficiency apartment, that is capped at a certain amount too. So if we want to work with, I hope I'm making a place, so please don't speak of a place, Willow Ferry Apartments, they can't say, oh, the city of Little Rock's going to let us place a tenant. The rent is $3,000 a month. You know, they can't do that. They have to fit that. They have to fit within the fair market rent
And
amount.
what is that fair market rent?
Well, I feel like I'm saying this a lot, but it changes based on the space. But if it's a 1 bedroom, it is $989.
That's a lot, isn't it?
So these are all numbers that came out for fiscal year 2026. They have all increased from 2025, so that is part of the problem.
What about the other challenges we understand to be a real burden, which is if Susie or Sammy loses their apartment,
Yeah,
or even simply is about to lose it,
yeah,
and they're out there hunting for another place to go, and let's say they struck up on this $989 rental for 1 bedroom,
yeah.
they still are gonna have to come up with first and last month's rent and a security deposit,
So
which
that-
takes them into the kind of money that's real hardship. What do you do
So
about that?
That is particularly what Home Keeper is designed to do. So typically, when someone comes in, we pay the deposit and we pay the first month. And then they have 2 additional months that we will cover. Now, they can't be looking, and that's unfortunate, you know, because if you're in that position, you know it's coming, and you may be trying to avoid ever being in that homeless population, but unfortunately, the way this particular program is designed by HUD, it is for those that are already homeless and trying to get a stable home again. So, in that sense, it's
Well,
not
what
really-
about eviction prevention? Are there not some programs for that particular period of time in someone's life?
if they are still under contract with that apartment complex and they have yet to be evicted, those are not programs within our portfolio.
Do you know if there's a program with that category of assistance operated by our house? I seem to remember reading that.
I'm gonna choose not to talk as Chauncey from my memory and be the community development administrator. I'm not positive if our house does have a program like that.
Is it your understanding these exist and should be researched in the
Some
city?
of these programs, now that I can say, some of these programs do exist that might offer hotel vouchers, that may offer things like that to help you always have something as you're looking for the next space. But I do want to kind of echo Director Miller, and we really do have to be good stewards of these dollars that we've been awarded. One, so we can continue to be awarded, but so we can also really serve the population that it's for, and it's for those that are already unsheltered.
Where are they found, since they're already out of the old apartment?
So we have relationships with community stakeholders that work in that space, which does include the Our House people, the Jericho Way people, the women and children's shelters. So we do have working relationships with other individuals that work in that space. There are plenty that come out of those and come into the program. Our hope is that they don't end up back. But as you said earlier, $989 is steep.
Well, that's my question. If I understand you correctly, they are already evicted. They're looking for someplace. You can give.
Where are they sleeping that night? That's my concern.
Well, that's not my question, but
I'm sorry, interrupted.
3 months, you're going to provide for the deposit. You're going to provide for the rent for
Yes.
$898. What at the end of 3 months? What's your recidivism rate of they can't afford it anymore and they're back on the street? Do you follow up? Probably you do because you're trying to get them stable, I guess. What is that?
So informally, the human in us always stays in some form of contact. We do try to help as many as we can in the program, so we really try not to allow individuals just to re-enroll. So we're helping the same, 50 people. Again, our goal is that during that time, because they do have to have some form of income, that they have learned how to do a little bit of budgeting, a little bit of saving in that process, and then they can go on and stand on their own 2 feet.
If they.
And now we do, in some of those complexes that we have agreements with are well below that fair market rate, right? We have several that are in the 580s, the 620s.
Yeah, but what's the apartment like? We don't have tenants' rights in Arkansas very much. And
So I can speak to.
uninhabitable apartments.
So
Are
they're
your
not
colleagues in code inspection making sure these are not roach ranches?
Absolutely. And
Thank
so
you.
Every,
We want that.
Every unit receives an inspection. Every unit receives an inspection that passes our standards and some of our post requirements. They're all livable. They're all, down to this is peeling paint. This is water damage. So they are highly livable units. Now, obviously, I am born and bred in the city of Little Rock, so I know my town very well. Someone might have some feelings about what part of the city they want to live in, but they are all very livable apartments that have passed an inspection. They are healthy, safe spaces.
Come back around to numbers.
Okay.
How many are clients in the program today, would you say?
So you're asking someone that's about 3 months into this position.
Surely there's monthly reports you file.
So, but again, it is a rotating number. We just had 12 timeout, and we just had, I think, 10 new coming in. And so, I really am remiss to just say it on before this home team program.
Do you post your numbers somewhere on the City of Little Rock's website so that
You know about the City Connect database?
Uh-huh,
It's a separate website.
uh-huh.
Is your material there somewhere to be found?
So typically what we do upload to that is our HUD reports, right? So like
Right.
every federal grant, we have either a quarterly or semi-annual report with a report on those numbers. But again, there are those numbers at that time of reporting.
Well, clearly that's the history.
Yeah.
Right, not current.
But it would give us an idea.
Yeah.
Might we ask our technical schedule,
Well, and it could be something I can get directly
Mary
back.
Henthorn, to see if she can find that on City Connect and get a history of the past few quarters, maybe?
I'll
Okay,
check it out.
what I can do is get that number back to you as to
We
where
will,
you
give
should
it, send it
receive.
to me in an email, it'd also be wonderful.
Okay, and are we looking for how many currently are receiving assistance, or how many have received assistance through the lifetime of the project?
How about both?
Okay, I don't know why I suppose to just double my work like that.
We're hoping that it's all sitting there at the ready,
Yeah.
because we're, as Virgil Miller was just reminding us, very careful to watch all our money
Good
and
stewards
get
of
value for the
taxpayer
money.
dollars, yeah.
That's right.
It could be my 3 months of employment that doesn't know how to readily get it, but yes, I know.
Well,
that's
we will,
something that
we will
have to
benefit
track.
you by learning something new.
I'm
How
gonna
about
come
that?
out of here as smart as City of Little Rock as we.
But it is the kind of a thing that you could automatically document, end of the month, upload to City Connect,
Yes.
next month upload to City Connect, and then track. Because we've got too few, as you said, you can't necessarily place all the people you've got without extraordinary efforts. As a tough question, what do you do if you've got this family and you can't find a place? All of your contract apartments are full.
So it works two ways. We have working relationships with complexes that we have worked with over the years. They are also empowered to go out and find spaces. It could be a complex that we've never worked with. It could be a landlord property that's somewhere within the city limits. And so it is a double effort to get them placed. We do run into that sometimes, but there are other programs that we have relationships with as well that could be, and I just blanked on the name, that runs Madison Heights.
Madison Heights is Metropolitan Housing Authority
Yeah.
with that daughter corporation.
Metropolitan
But
Housing
it's basically
Authority,
the
yeah.
City Housing Authority with a fancy name.
So, we can't commingle, right? So we can't use funds for that because they're already getting federal funds for that.
Okay.
But we could say, we can't get you in the Home Cheaper program in this apartment complex, but we're gonna send you to them, and you may fit the eligibility for you to be in their program to get housing. So we really do try to work as hard as we can with everybody that we get. Another problem that makes it really hard for us to do great work is sometimes they have other extenuating circumstances that make it very difficult for them to be placed. Unfortunately, we're in a state where every eviction is tracked, and if you've been evicted from the past 4 apartments, that could make another complex leery. And so we really do try to burn the candle at both ends to get as many as we can placed.
That would be an issue. And that goes back to, you're trying to help, understandably, those with a prospect for becoming self-sustaining at the end of the 3 months of intervention. And they get to return, re-enlist for a new one and a new one and a new one on.
I wouldn't say that we draw that line in the sand. Everybody deserves to be safely housed, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not that we're picking what we think are the best candidates. That's not what's happening. There are several people that have their own.
Well, I was wondering if you turned some
ongoing
people down,
things.
and what would be the reason for that?
So if people are turned down, it is because they don't meet the HUD requirements. They're not at or below that 30%. They don't have any type of proof of income, so we know even our 3 months of help won't help them be sustainable. They don't have any type of identification that lets us know that they're here, because they are federal dollars. and city dollars. So we do have to make sure they have proper identification. So it's things like that, but we don't take into account previous records or anything like that. We don't take any of that into account.
I have to say that I just had a personal encounter on the issue of ID. I was in my car leaving where I'd lunched at a downtown Main Street restaurant. And this fellow comes up to me and he says he's homeless and could he get a few dollars. Now, we're basically at the intersection of 15th and 9th.
Right.
And I said, well, have you gone to our house? Well, I didn't have an ID, so I couldn't get in.
Yeah.
And to me, that was a red flag. And I said, well, you need to go to Jericho Way and get your ID. And then I put the window up and I drove off.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that was just concerning me that they hadn't managed that basic.
Well,
And I would
we know-
respect that you have to have those requirements for your own program.
We have to have those requirements for our program, and again, we are going to be good stewards of the dollars that we've been awarded and following their own regulations. But I would be remiss to say that sometimes individuals have other overarching barriers that aren't just a lack of home, right? Being unsheltered.
Are they getting evicted because they were suffering from drug addiction or another addiction?
That's not something particularly that we look into. So
It would come into the determination that they could be self-sustaining.
if they have income, we are using some form of good faith that they are going to cover their own house and their own head. So there are plenty of cases where somebody should have thought of their own. It could be pharmaceutical, it could be anything. But there are certain issues that come with some people that are unhoused. It's not
And then
just
there's the whole mental
everybody.
illness thing.
Which again is something that could breed into another issue that we society look more frowningly on, but it could be stemming from this thing that we're very sympathetic of. And so that's why we really don't try to make those type of human judgments. If they fit the requirements, we try to get them help.
I
You
appreciate
give them a shot at
Give
it
'em a
for
shot.
3 months.
We give them a shot, and it's not, a program that they're going to be able to ride on coattails for 6 years. It's not the type of program, and as far as I'm concerned, anyone deserves. If you fit the requirements, then we are required to ensure everybody deserves 6 months of assistance, 3 months of assistance. Yes, sir.
Is this some sort of national program implemented locally, or?
So it is a it's a HUD program. So yes, there are home keeper programs nationwide, which is tenant-based rental assistance.
Because this is the first I've heard of it.
That's why I wanted to get her here,
Yeah.
is there's a gap in our knowledge.
Yeah.
There is a city eviction assistance program, and really nobody knows about it, so take it back in your network. Invite her. Got some business cards, lady?
I do.
Let's pass them out, put them at the front
Okay.
sign-in sheet.
Yeah.
Well, and
That people can learn about it, and then we're going to get the Citizen Connect data going. And when she gets it to me, then and I'll go with Mary, who's my assistant on techie stuff, and we will create a little email memo that says, we now want you to know there is the city program, this is what the numbers are, this is who can talk about it,
and I would
and
adjust,
pursue it in your neighborhood.
And I would adjust those words to rental assistance. So it's not
Okay.
really,
Not housing.
it's not eviction assistance because we can't pay the place you're already staying at. Which, when you're in that
Evicted assistance then.
No, you still got to leave here, So, and when you're in that position,
Okay, I respect this term.
when you're in that position, all you want is to make it stop. And so I'm really careful to not say we can help you not get evicted. You have to, unfortunately, already be in a position of need for that. So it's rental assistance, tenant-based rental assistance.
I
If
will be sure to
somebody
use
said-
that phrase.
Thank you.
If
I've got
somebody
it
said
down.
they're living in their car,
Uh-huh.
you could help them move into a place?
I'm saying yes, but I think I'm confused on what what's the wordplay we're trying to see?
I'm just,
If they're already evicted, and that comes back around to my concern,
yeah.
where are you finding these people, or what is their living condition? Where are they spending that night?
Oh, okay.
And they
okay.
get up in the morning and they come connect with you.
Uh-huh.
Might they be living in their car?
Very
Or
well.
the front sofa of some relative, or
And sometimes,
one of the
sometimes
shelters?
it's with family, sometimes it's one of the shelters that we have ongoing relationships with, sometimes it's cars, sometimes some people are not fortunate they even have that. And so, we just received a client that we're going through that literally the director of housing saw somewhere and said, hey, come, you know. So it's really wherever they are. So
Which is many different places.
some of it is pound and pavement, some of it is, churches that are fortunate enough to have some space. Some of it is the organizations we know of, like Jericho Way in our house. It's, unfortunately, it's work that requires a little bit of boots on the ground.
Do you work with the van?
The guy that runs out and takes blankets to people in homeless camps.
I'm gonna say I don't know, because again, the 3 months, but we might, I don't know.
Well, they're going to building, you're happy.
Yeah.
Well, and they're not in it yet, though. I'm sure we will be all invited to the ribbon cutting.
I mean, I got a feeling I could walk down the railroad tracks and stick your card on the tents I see, if they would call you and say, can I have help and live in a house?
So, to that regard,
He lives in Capital Usage Station,
Uh-huh.
and down the hill, Rose Trail, the railroad viaduct, the railroad track right of way,
Uh-huh.
which you may know has a substantial number of folks living in
Has an
tents.
encampment, yeah. So we also have a little bit of a safety concern for our City of Little Rock employees as well, and so we really don't try to put, I was gonna say them, but me in a position where we could be in a position to be harmed, because again, some of these issues come with other issues that we really don't know what we're encountering. So typically, we do work with other stakeholders that have had some type of dealing with individuals. Yeah, he's come here several times. He comes and gets meals here, so we know that.
The thing is, Robert, if they're in a tent beside the railroad track, they are not claiming the services of all these agencies for whatever reason. Just, there's not more than one category of homeless out there.
Yeah, some of the house have different desires,
Some are willing to accept the programs, some are not.
Correct. But for those that we can, and for those that can get to us, and we're out there trying to make sure they can get to us, we're only looking at basic eligibility requirements in which we're trying to get them placed. Any other questions for me?
We've heard that a lot of them like to camp, they'd rather be outside in the tents and wherever,
They resist either it being an alcohol-free shelter. That's one that the Salvation Army has struggled with since day one, and they're 200-year-old organization. And there's the issue of pets. We're now seeing more and more allowance for pets. I know that our latest member, Nanita, tell us your background and your residential. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Anita, and I live in Petaway, and I have a pet grooming spa for cats and dogs. And
So you may know something about the pet issue with the homeless.
yeah, I see them. They since I'm next door to the Petaway Park, they definitely walk their animals through there. So, and I'm not gonna put this out live now, but trying to work on something to assist where they can definitely be feeding people, but what about the small babies?
Fur babies.
Yeah.
So, I think that what you said is very poignant. There are several different communities of unhoused people, and not all are
Willing.
in a desire for this type of living. I mean, there's a very large growing community of people that just want to be not system connected. They want to be off the grid people. It started with van life, right? About 10 years ago, where people were getting these big vans, just living in them. And so but those are not the groups of people we're talking about, right? We're talking about those that have fallen on financial hard times because, like you said at the beginning of today's meeting, utilities are sky high, rent is outrageous. So much of the rent invoices that I sign off on are higher than my mortgage, So it's a lot of different financial hikes and inflations that are really causing this community to unfortunately grow rapidly.
And that's something that we continue to be very vocal about with the mayor and the board, because we can see if this, then that consequence, which we talked about. The utility bills that every householder has are going up, and some are not going to be able to handle that. And then you've got those that want to remove because renters have these utility bills directly, or they're passed through the landlord and the rent. You talked about that rent being high. I don't suppose you bothered to try and go back and calculate whether that is utilities included or not. But some of it has to be, you just know, because that's the way the business models run. Yes, sir.
I have a comment here from Neil Seeley. In 2025, there were 4,345 evictions filed in Pulaski County Circuit Court. Arkansas Renters United members are going to research why we have had such a major increase in evictions.
Repeat the number, 4,000?
345, Pulaski County.
In the circuit courts.
Circuit Court.
Neil Seeley is the executive director for the Arkansas Community Organizations, which is a longtime dues-paying member of this group. We spoke last night about whether he might be free to come, and I said at the very least live stream it. Looks like that is, in fact, what his schedule required. So we get a lot of feedback. Have you had occasion to meet with Arkansas Community Organizations and Renters United?
So
That's a link that I hope makes.
The
made.
Department of Housing has, yeah. So who I am standing in for, Celicia Nichols and Kevin Howard, have made those connections. I'm a little bit more regulated to the Home Depot program, but we do our best to make those connections with stakeholders that work in the same space, so we can find these people, know who they are, and get them assistance. And when they tap out or time out of our program, have somewhere where we can sit down to keep that going. But our hope is that they've learned some self-sufficiency along the way as well.
I know that you said you'd only been in the program 3 months, but obviously you were instructed in the categories to deal with. And I'm curious what your assignment, I guess might be the word, is in regards to what seems to be the missing element in bringing them to self-sufficiency. Do they just not know how to budget? Are they financially illiterate? Did they suffer a big medical bill, which we would guess would be one? And if you're behind the bill, then, going forward, it's not going to happen again.
Is there a common denominator for them?
Well, more the biggest category of problem, I guess, would be that.
I'd be a little bit remiss to paint with such a broad stroke, but I mean there are there is some financial literacy. There is some just standard inflation that has just gotten too high for people to be able to live under. We also have our handful of those with other extenuating circumstances that make it hard.
Call it disaster struck.
Disaster struck is a category, but I'm also talking about the category of those ongoing things internally.
Personal problems.
I'm trying to find a better way. Yeah, but yes, that is going to always rear its head in their life, at different times. That may make this type of structure difficult.
Okay, anyone else have any comments or questions?
I hope I was at least somewhat informative or helpful. So Home Tibra.
We're pleased to discover you exist, and we're gonna be publicizing it as best we can.
So Home Tibra is the tenant-based rental assistance program through HUD that we do have a federal award for, and we have conditional approval letter for emergency solutions grant, and that kind of works alongside our Home Tibra program, and that is roughly about $156,000 that we will get once we complete that application program. They can work alongside our other housing grants.
And the 166,000 is,
156.
okay, and that is the Home Tibro
That is emergency solutions.
Emergency Solutions. 100 and go, there we go. Now, is that the annual or the quarterly?
I do believe it is annual, and that's the one that's through the Department of Finance Authority.
Yes,
Which is separate from our HUD award.
yes.
And so, of course, we can't commingle, but that does allow for us to help a little bit more than
There we
just
go.
the Home Tibra can handle
Which is
by
a
itself.
state appropriation, unless it's a pass-through, which everybody's got some federal pass-through stuff
And as you
but-
said, we do have the down payment assistance and all of that stuff. So
for the homeowners.
for those that are attempting to be homeowners. Hopefully, we can build a system where one can transition into the other.
That is a wonderful goal and real uphill work to achieve.
It's a high one. But I am a highly optimistic individual.
Is the Housing Trust Act that I just read that the city board?
The City Housing Trust, do you know
Yeah.
about that?
I'm not familiar enough to.
Is that a horse of a different color?
No, it couldn't, it is not, because I was very careful to read
Yeah.
what that trust was permitted to engage upon. And if you go back, and I posted this somewhere back when it passed about 6 weeks ago, when the City Housing Trust was established by the City Board of Directors for the first time ever we had this thing, it was modeled on state housing trust, which have been around for many states for many years. And we are stalled at the state level for reasons we won't go into here. But we noticed they had the permission to create a city housing trust. And so voices at this table and other advocates for affordable housing said to the mayor, why don't we create a city housing trust and see how far we can get for the capital city, which might be able to come up with some resources financially to do a thing. And they passed it, and they, in fact, specified the categories permitted to engage in efforts through the City Housing Trust, and one of them was rental assistance. So if they can find somebody to put money into the trust, they may choose a set of rules that allows for X dollars of it, in whole or in part, potentially at the behest of the donor of the money in question, to provide rental assistance. So you need to be checking about that. It's a public-private enterprise.
Yeah.
Where, in the article that I read about it, I couldn't find out where the city is getting its money.
City Housing Trust.
Where the city is pulling the money from, because it started.
They
in
have $0, and they're very open about that.
Okay, it started in California,
So
state,
nowhere.
and it's
That's
coming
right.
from the property tax that people pay for the state of California and other states. It's a percentage of their property tax that goes into the housing trust fund. So I was wondering how the city is going to pull money for this housing trust fund for the city.
I think they're going to go beg it to the private
The goal
community.
the goal of this is to be a donor base, right? Is that what it sounds like?
Well,
I thought it was.
if- I think right now that's all that can be, because there's clearly nothing in the budget. Remember, Virgil was talking about all the budget items. City Housing Trust has $0. They're very clear about that. But if you go back to, I'll see if I can find the email where I quoted or included the actual agenda item for the city board to approve. And that's where it laid it out. This is going to be created a trust. It's going to be covering ABC, X, Y, Z. And that is going to be your basic source of valid information. Forget about the news stories. and it's very clear.
Oh, well, I've learned that. This is
You have learned that already.
This is my first housing position, but I worked in the city manager's office for 7 years previously, so I'm not new to the city.
Not new to the challenges of information validity, errors and corrections, yeah.
Excuse me, Kathy. I have another comment from Neil.
Uh-huh.
ARU, that's Arkansas Renters United, members met with Mayor Scott and Kevin Howard yesterday. We plan to meet with Mr. Howard in February and to work on some of the issues important to our renter members.
So you just need to be asked to be kept informed about how all that goes. And I really would encourage you to have a meeting with Neil Seeley and with Nathan Huffman, who's the staffer working on Arkansas Renters United. Exchanging news and views, I think, would be very educational for everybody concerned. And they're a potential resource, positive for what you're trying to do, I think. But I'll look up that passage of the establishment of the trust.
Okay.
And
Well, I'll
send it
find
to you.
that. I'll find that. I got you.
Great.
Yeah. And if you want to.
But look it up,
Yeah.
because that's going to be, I remember rental assistance was in it, because that was new. They hadn't been that. I'm going to say thank you so much. We're adjourned today. Ms. Pettis, thank you very much for all your wonderful information. We did not know all that you told us.
Well,
We're
thank
so glad
you.
to learn it.
I'm glad I could be a little informative.
We stand adjourned. Thank you so much. This is live streamed. The recording will be posted on YouTube through our link at clrn.ar.